podcast. It's me, the person speaking, Max. And then to my left is Samson.
Hi.
And then to Samson's left is Hunter.
Hello. This podcast is about identity and how it affects us. Speaking of that, I'm going to tell you what identity is and some types of identity. So identity is what makes you, the parts of yourself. It is important to understand my own identities because it helps me to understand myself. And it's important to understand other people's identities because you can learn more about them in their life and maybe the choices that they make. So some different types of identity are religion, socioeconomics, which is your income level, race, and gender. Now Hunter and I will talk about empathy. Hunter, what is empathy?
Empathy is feeling with people. It is not the same as sympathy. Everyone's heard of sympathy, right? Most people have. Sympathy is like this. If you lose your favorite ball, someone walks up to you and says, "I'm really sorry you lost your ball, but at least you have your favorite train." Does that help?
No, I wouldn't feel better after that.
Yes. It's sympathy. You're trying to make someone feel better, but you're doing okay. But empathy, I'm really sorry. You know, once I lost my favorite ball and I was looking everywhere for it. I never found it. But then one morning, I found it.
Yeah.
It was under my bed. See, it relates to someone and it makes them feel better.
Definitely.
Do you think it's better than sympathy?
Yes.
Do you think sympathy's bad?
No, but empathy usually seems better.
Yes, empathy can help you relate to people and make great connections and friendships.
Yeah. And so, Hunter, what would you say the role empathy has in the discussion of identity?
Well, I'd say empathy can help you relate to someone who shares your identity and someone who doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
Like, imagine someone has the same religion as you.
Mm-hmm.
And you could say, "Hey, I have celebrated Christmas too." And someone could not. And they could say, "You know, I celebrate Christmas, but that's fine because I also love cake just like you."
Yeah.
It helps relate.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And so you could also learn more about someone through empathy, right?
Oh, yes, of course you can. Empathy is a great tool in the use of friendships.
Mm-hmm.
Samson, can you tell us about an article you read?
Oh, sure. The other day, I read an article called "Should Your Avatar Skin Match Yours?" from NPR Code Switch. It was about race in games. And so a little bit was about an 11-year-old kid who liked playing video games, used a darker skinned avatar sometimes, and fight underrepresentation, discrimination, and bully racists in the games that he played. So unfortunately, he found that it didn't help. Yeah. In a video game, you can be anyone. You can. It would be kind of crazy to be confined by your real world identity, right? Yeah. And so some players and developers of video games bring their real-world ideas and biases with them into the game. But so to contradict that, a game called Rust randomly generated the character that you play as, and once your character is generated, you couldn't change it. So it decided for you your race, your gender, and the developer of it, one of the developers of Rust, Gary Newman, said, quote, "I would love nothing more than if playing as a black guy in a game made a white guy appreciate what it would be like to be a persecuted minority." Unfortunately, that's probably not true. If a white kid experiences racism while playing a game, it doesn't actually improve the suffering of other people he's aligning himself with. because he's still benefiting from his whiteness in other parts of his life, says Lisa Nakamura, director of the Digital Studies Institute at the University of Michigan. She calls it toxic empathy because, like, you can say, like, they abuse you, but it doesn't, you, like, feel like, hey, that wasn't that big of a deal because you're still white and you experience good stuff, right? So she says that choosing a character outside of your own identity can risk turning into what she calls, quote-unquote, identity tourism. There's a study in 2009 examined representations of race in video games. It found that with the exception of African Americans, the representation in games bears a strong resemblance to the game developer workplace itself, which is mostly white men. Black men are only well represented in games that replicated real-life sports leagues. So that is interesting because it shows that black people are only really represented in sports games where it's like mostly black people.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, right?
Very.
Yeah. So developers can create a full range of hairstyles, skin tones, and features to make a more broad range of characters when you're choosing a character. And yeah, they can also guard against creating a fantasy race that's taking on stereotypes.
An article saying it was by 538. It was called Religious Diversity May Be Making America Less Religious. Doesn't that sound so weird?
Yeah.
I know, but so it says that if you have more religious residents, if you have more religious diversity, you have less religious residents.
What?
I know, that's so weird.
Yeah.
Like, in Oregon, you have more religious diversity, but you don't have many religious residents.
That is so weird.
I know.
How would that work? So would that mean that the people there are not as religious?
Yeah, so
Wow.
if you have more religious diversity, then you have more chance of a religion going up against another person's religion, and then you might be shy about your religion.
Or that religion might make you maybe see.
Okay, and if you're Mississippi, you have more religious residents, but you're not really diverse.
That makes sense.
Kind of.
I
Yeah.
get it now.
I know, me too.
Samson, do you know what socioeconomics is?
No, what are socioeconomics?
Socioeconomics is the study of how your income level affects your everyday life.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yes. In your income level is the amount of money you make.
Oh, okay.
The lowest amount is about $7.40 an hour.
That would be hard to have a good life. You have to have like 2 jobs if you had made that money.
That would be hard.
Yeah.
There was 3 levels of income. There was lower income, middle income, and upper income.
Oh, okay.
Mostly in the U.S., we were at upper income or kind of in the middle income.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, if you have more income, you're going to get a better stuff, a bigger house, and more stuff. I wouldn't say you had a happier life, but you'd have a bigger life. Probably.
A bigger life?
Yeah.
And doesn't that also make you live longer too?
Yes, you have more food to get, more healthy ingredients. Have you ever heard of the marshmallow test, Samson?
I think I might have, but I don't remember what it is. What is it?
So one kid has a marshmallow. If he waits 15 minutes without eating the marshmallow, he gets 2 marshmallows.
Huh.
Yes, people used to think that if people just ate the marshmallow straight away, they wouldn't get a good job. But if people waited for the marshmallow, then they would get a better job. It turns out that's not it at all.
So, like, they thought that the people who waited were like more patient or something?
Yeah, they would get a better life, and they had studies that showed that. But then more accurate studies showed this, that people with lower income amount of money ate the marshmallow first because they didn't know the next time they would see a marshmallow. They didn't trust that there would be a second marshmallow.
Yeah.
They didn't know the next time they would get to eat sugar.
Yeah.
They don't trust that there will be a next marshmallow.
Yeah.
While upper incomes knows that there will be because they're just a little bit more spoiled. And also, if there isn't a second marshmallow, they can go out for ice cream anytime they want.
That makes sense. So, like, the upper income could wait longer if they want more than waited longer because they're in the pantry. They usually have like more food. They are trusting that there will be another marshmallow, but because lower income kids might not have as much food in the pantry, they couldn't trust that there was another marshmallow.
Exactly. Who knew it could affect young kids' lives so much just at their parents' income?
Yeah. Thanks, Hunter. That was really interesting.
Thank you, Samson.